Welcome to the Landlording Show. I am your host, Tim Harstead, and today we have special guest Robin Nicole with Robin Nicole Interiors. Robin, how are you doing today?
Good. Thank you so much, Tim, for having me. I'm very happy to be here today.
Awesome. So wanted to talk to you. So Robin is an expert on interior design and wanted to give our listeners an idea of some of the latest trends. And first is if you can tell the listeners a little bit about yourself and a little bit about your company and what you guys do for people.
Sure. Yeah, I'd love to. So I have been in the industry for 15 years. My background primarily is luxury residential, commercial design, retail, and I'm currently now in office design. And I've done this from very small scale projects to very large scale projects, and it's something that I've been doing, like I said, for quite a long time now and very comfortable with doing it and working with clientele and basically just getting to meet that client, seeing, really what they're looking for, what they need out of the project, and basically just providing all of that and some to them.
If I'm an investor and I'm deciding whether I'm doing a rehab, I'm deciding whether I should hire an interior designer. What do you think are some things to think about on if I should reach out and get help or if I should be doing it myself?
So the main reason that you're going to want to reach out to an interior designer is for the reason that an interior designer does a lot more than picking paint colors or fabric swatches. That's basically like the last few things that we do, right? That kind of don't require too much effort or too much think time, but more or less we spend our time project managing, making sure that we have everything accounted for that we need, right? So if this is your first real estate investment project and you don't know what you're doing, I would highly suggest hiring an interior designer. And the reason for that, as I just mentioned, is because an interior designer, what that title means actually, and one of the many things that we do under that title, first and foremost, would be a project manager. So we come on site, we're making sure everything is being done. We're working with the architect. We create that collaboration. We bring in the architect, space plan with the architect. Then once we have finalization, our drawings are stamped, they're ready to move forward, then we can start working with our contractor, right? And once we're working with our contractor, there has to be site visits, depending on how long the project is determined to take before it's complete. We want to make sure that we're performing site visits on a weekly basis, sometimes even multiple times on a weekly basis. So we might want to step out maybe 3 to 4 times a week and ensure that the drawings, everything that we designed is being implemented into the space the way that we designed it. So when I'm going out to these site checks and I'm meeting with the contractor, I'm going through the space and say, for example, we're in the kitchen and we've got custom cabinetry here, and then we've got a backsplash layout that's just a little indifferent. So we want to make sure that we're specifying the correct tile border around, and we also want to make sure that we have the correct tile specified in the center. So basically that's what I'm coming out to do, right? I'm coming out to make sure that the contractor is doing exactly what they're supposed to be doing. And if there is a mistake, I can catch it early on versus it's already done, or if you want, I can rip it out and we can start over and you can pay again, right? But if you have a designer coming out there and they're frequently checking on everything, you just have way more better chances of a successful project in the end game versus kind of trying to figure everything out yourself and putting together schedules. It's really hard, in my opinion, to do something that you've never done before. So I would highly suggest working with an interior designer, working closely with them, seeing how they work. And if you want to take on the next project after that independently, try. But I would also suggest, again, continuing to work with the designer and incorporate them in their projects and maybe take off some of that load, right? So Now that
Yep.
you might have an architect, so now I don't need to source one for you. Just little things like that. But I definitely think it's very important to include an interior designer on your projects just for the ease of it.
Awesome, awesome. And as a contractor, I can say things like this, but a lot of contractors are very good at trying to get things done. They're trying to meet a timeline, and oftentimes the little details that are probably most important when the end project comes around, they get skipped and they get forgotten. Can you name maybe one or two examples of a time that a contractor almost messed up that you had to sort of fix, or I guess some of the more common ways that contractors don't follow the drawings?
Yeah, so I've got a really great one for that actually. So one of our properties here in Chicago in the Kenwood area, we did a gut and rehab in the bathroom. We did all new tile, and we did it on the floors and we did it on the walls, right? So this bathroom's a lot smaller. It's a condominium property. So I'm trying to make this bathroom, and it's in the master bedroom, trying to make it as grand as possible. So what I did is, instead of specifying smaller tiles, we're going to go with longer, wider tiles, right? Because anything that we create in the space to make it look larger is using larger things, makes things look more grand, more luxury. So instead of doing a simple 6-inch by 6-inch tile, we're going to do an 8-inch high by a 15-inch long, right? So we're placing these tiles in the master shower, and I have an idea of the way I want them to look. So I want them laid out horizontal, but I also do want them not in a more of kind of like random staggered look, right? So, and as contractor, we have a language barrier. Okay. So I'm coming out there, I've got my drawings, and we are not on the same page. Okay. He's saying to like cut all these pieces, and the whole reason that, I went for the longer tile was to give a more luxury look to the space. So we were able to talk together, look at the images, the CAD drawings that I had put together, which are to scale drawings of the space, and go over visually back and forth, showing him with the images that I have, the expectations of what I'm looking for. Now, I met with him before he started laying anything out, because right away I knew there was a language barrier, and with my experience, that's all it is in this industry, is like you're going to work with contractors that don't speak English, and that's just what it is. And you have to learn how to work with them and how to work around that. And the best way to do that is to have images and pictures. And once you have those images and pictures, and all numbers are all the same, so if all the dimensions are called out on the sheet, it's very easy for the contractor to confirm, and if they have questions, to come back to me. So before, as I mentioned, he had started laying anything out, I'm there, we're going over the details, this is how it needs to look, then he starts laying it out while I'm there. I wait till he does one entire wall. Once I know it looks good, we're on the right path, then I'm like, all right, we're good to go. Okay, so now we're turning, now we're going down the next wall. That next wall has a windowsill on it. So I wait till he gets to the windowsill, he's going, he's fine, everything's staggered, we're not cutting any pieces. And if we are cutting, it's very minimal, like an inch off. So once we come to the windowsill, he tells me like the procedure, what his thoughts are, what he's going to do. This is how we're going to do it. We're going to need a sluter strip here to cap it off. Explains it, we go through it, I draw it, we're on the same page, let's go. Move forward, and it's done. So really the most important thing is having that communication with your contractor, right? And it's not about just sometimes like listening to them, but it's also reiterating what they're telling you, right? So if my contractor's saying, this is how you want it done, A, B, and C, I'm going to say, yes, I want A this way, B this way, and C this way. I'm reiterating back to the contractor what my expectations are. Now, at that point in time, if that contractor is not on the same page, they're going to say, oh, I didn't understand that, or that's not what I'm thinking, or that's not what I pulled from the conversation, you know it? And then it's like, okay, let me create some drawings. Let's get on the same page. What do we have to do to move forward? And really it's about addressing, simple communication.
Awesome. Great story. So you mentioned the bigger tiles help to create a grander bathroom or kitchen or things like that. What are some other upgrades or things that you can do to make a small space look bigger? Because I know it's often, especially in Chicago, some of these older buildings. I don't know what people in the 1920s slept in or what they kept their clothes in, but the rooms look like they can fit a crib in them. And any ideas on some other ways that you might want to make those look bigger without tearing down walls?
Yeah, definitely. So one of the main things that you can do, as I mentioned, so instead of doing smaller tiles, we'll do larger, right? And instead of taking our tile design, for example, say if we're working with tile right now, we're not going to go horizontal. We're going to flip them and we're going to make the tile vertical because we're going to elongate the space, right? So we don't have wide space, but we can make our ceilings look taller, okay? So another thing that we can do to make a space look larger is we're going to build up, right? At the end of the day, and that's typically what they do in New York because they don't have a lot of square footage, but they do have ceiling height, so they build up. So they have a lot of great storage options that are a lot of like custom built-in shelving, which is really, really nice. And it can definitely change a space and the way that it looks. And also like other great little things that you can do to a space too. If you're thinking about rehabbing your kitchen and you have good bones in your cabinetry, like it's oak cabinets, there's no need to completely rip them out. You can sand them down and you can paint them and you can order new hardware and get some inexpensive countertops, and it completely revamps the space with some new backsplash and flooring.